We were cut off. So here it is. Connection Live Part 2. We're back. So hopefully you stayed with us. Hopefully you didn't just go running away thinking, oh no, donkey's head. People eating donkey's heads. What are we going to do? What's this story all about? Let me tell you, as Paul Harvey used to say it, the old news guy from way back in the day. Now let me tell you the rest of the story. So here's what happened. Okay? The people are surrounded by the Arameans, and they had not been following God. God is not able to bless them. Their enemies are overrunning them. The famine in the land is so bad that they're eating a donkey's head, a dead donkey's head, and thinking that that's a great meal. They're paying for it. They're paying big money for it. Well, it gets even worse than that. There's four guys that are sitting out at the outside of town, or right at the edge of town, and they're four lepers. Now you say, lepers, what's a leper? Leprosy is a disease that eats away at the flesh of the body and eventually kills a person. Well, these four lepers were not even allowed to be in the town, even though there was a famine in the town and people were dying anyways. They said, nope, you're lepers, we don't want you with us. So these four lepers are outside of town, and so they're in kind of a no-win situation. They can't go into town because there's a famine there. They can't go outside of town because there's an army out there waiting to kill them. And they finally said that to themselves. They were sitting there talking, and they finally said, you know what? If we go into town, we're going to starve. If we sit right here, we're going to die. If we go out to the Arameans, maybe they'll be merciful to us and they'll give us food. What's the worst thing that can happen? So they decided to take the risk. They went out, and lo and behold, God had done a very merciful and gracious thing. During the night, God had scared away the Aramean army by creating a sound of chariots and horses that made the Arameans think that they were being attacked by the Egyptians and the Hittites. And so they said, oh no, the Israelites have joined forces with the Hittites and the Egyptians, and they're attacking us. And so they got up and left their tents and everything, fled right in the middle of the night. So here's these four lepers. They walk out to camp. If you can picture this big army, bunch of tents out there, and they go out there and they're kind of tiptoeing up to a tent, and they're like knocking on the door. Hello, Mr. Enemy. We'd like to surrender. If we could just have some food, that'd be great. No answer. And they open a tent. Everybody's gone, and all the food is still there, and there's clothes there, and there's gold and jewelry, and they're like, wow, they left their weapons, they left their gold, they left their food. And so they grab it all and they go and stash it and hide it. And they said, well, let's go back for more. So they go back to the second tent, and they're in the second tent, and one of them finally stops and says to the other ones, he says, you know what, this isn't right. Here we are finding food, finding clothes, finding money, and the rest of our people are back inside the city starving to death. He said, this isn't right. This isn't good, and we aren't going to get blessed for it. We need to go tell the people the good news, that the siege is over, and there's plenty of food out here for everybody to live on. So that's what they did. They went back, and they told the king, and of course the king was like, nah, how can we be sure? And finally, one of the advisors said, kind of a funny thing, he said, hey, you know what? Let's send 5 guys out. They're going to die if they stay in here anyways. Let's send them out. So they sent guys out, and sure enough, there was everything just like the leper said it. And God had once again saved his people. How did he save his people? Well, he used 4 lepers that were in a very bad position who decided to make some very good choices. And that's what I want to encourage you with tonight. That's what I want us to take with us tonight when we walk away from here. The thought that you and I have already been like those lepers. We have been in those situations where life has not been good. We have been under the curse of sin, and God has been merciful, and God has shown grace and mercy to us. And just like those lepers, when we come to Christ, we find the blessings that are there for us. And it's that time, at that point in time, that we have a choice. When we've gone through tough things in life, and God blesses us, how do we respond to it? Do we see those blessings? Do we take the opportunity? Think about those 4 lepers. What if they had just said, you know what, forget it. We're going to stay right here. We're mad at God. We're not going to do anything. They would have died. They would have died right there. Instead, they went out to see what God had done for his people, and that's where they found it. They found it when they took those steps out there. And when they found those things, their attitude was, hey, we need to share this with others. We need to share God's blessing with others. And that's what I would like our thought to be. I would like us to be people who remember that we've been under the curse of sin. We remember what it's like to go through hard things. We remember when life has not been good to us. So when God gives us the opportunity, we need to be thinking like those 4 lepers and thinking, you know what? It would be a good thing if I shared it with other people, and that we go and tell other people about Christ. We share Christ's love with other people. And I think that's where we will find a continued blessing from God when we do that very thing. That's my thought for you tonight. Now, here's the contest. That account of history, of Israel's history, came from the Old Testament. Here's the clue I'm going to give you. This event happened after the book of Ruth, but before the book of Ezra. So it's in one of 6 books. After the book of Ruth, but before the book of Ezra. Here's what I'm going to challenge you with. I want you to dig through your Bible, and I want you to find the book of the Bible and the chapter where that story happens. It happens during the time of a man named Elisha. So if you're looking through your Bible and you see the name Elisha, you know you're getting pretty close. Now, here's the rules. No Google search. No looking it up online and typing it in a search word. Nope, I just want you to get in your Bible and I want you to look for it. It's in a book that is a first or second book. Okay, it starts with first or second book. So there's what I want you to do. I want you to find what book is this account of Israel's history in, and what chapter. You post it on the comments in our band app, and if you're the first person to post it, then we've got a gift certificate for you. That's all for Connection Live tonight. Guess what? Our church is meeting live. Speaking of live, our church is meeting live in person this Sunday at 11 o'clock at the Fellowship Center. We would love to have you join us. Our Fellowship Center is located just west of town, just before you get to the Rusty Nail. Don't forget where that is. There's a big gray building out there, and the sign out front says First Baptist Fellowship Center. Please join us as we have our first in-person worship service this Sunday at 11 a.m. And then for our connection group, our first in-person youth activity will be our TBA bonfire night at our house right here at Pastor Mike's house on June the 6th, 5 to 8. You do not need to bring anything except your swimwear because the pool will be open, and we hope it'll be nice and hot like this. We will provide the food and everything else. Bring your swimwear and bring a towel, and we will see you then. Thanks for joining me, Connection Live, and we hope to talk with you again soon.